Pastor Ed here with daily or weekly devotions now that we're doing for Wednesday, August the 12th. Now that Josh is back from his vacation, we're resuming our weekly devotions. Basing it when we left off before he went away, I was talking about, I did a little series on the will of God for 4 weeks. And now I'm going to follow up on, at least for this week, on our service this past Sunday and the series on Revelation, which was week 5. We're going into our 6th and final week this coming Sunday. It was Revelation 13, my sermon theme. If you were worshipped or watched it, was "The Choice is Ours." And of course, the book of Revelation is talking about what those early Christians were experiencing, and with the Roman Empire, and the oppressive and cruelty of it, and the persecution that Christians were facing, but also the temptation to just kind of give in, to go along, to get along, and to accept a lot of things. And there was one verse in particular where John, whoever the John was who wrote the book of Revelation, here's a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. And so, who do we follow? Who do we belong to? Are we going to be, just give in to the culture around us, to the government around us, if those things are calling us away from our faith? And it's really about a matter of choice. And so talked a little bit about that, but I wanted to, for the weekly devotion, talk a little bit more about the whole notion of choices. I came across something, it's written about 20 years ago, so I'm sure it's even higher now, but I read where the overall number of products offered in an average size supermarket was around 22,000. The previous year, so it would have been 2005, I guess, there were over 21,000 new products introduced. An eye-popping 1,500 actually made it into the stores, which at that point was the highest number in years. And so if you ever go shopping, and because Acme is sort of not halfway between, but on my way home to the parsonage, I'm often stopping off to get groceries or whatever we need. And it's amazing, all the different things go into any stores, any kind of stores, all the different products. And so choice is a part of the human experience. It's the exercise of the free will that God has given us. But choices lead to consequences. The former president's, FDR's wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, is quoted as saying, "One's philosophy is not best expressed in words, it's expressed in the choices one makes. In the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. The process never ends until we die, and the choices that we make are ultimately our responsibility." Billy Graham, the famed evangelist, said something similar. He wrote, the strongest principle of life and blessings lies in our choice. Our life is the sum result of all the choices we make, both consciously and unconsciously. If we can control the process of choosing, we can take control of all aspects of our life, he said. We can find the freedom that comes from being in charge of our life. So start with what is right rather than what is acceptable. And then he added, if you don't make a decision, then time will make it for you, and time will always side against you. C.S. Lewis, who wrote Mere Christianity and the Chronicles of Narnia and so forth, the English professor and really lay theologian, put it this way. He said, every time you're making a choice, you are turning that central part of you, that part that you chooses, into something a little different than it was before. And taking your life as a whole with all your innumerable choices all your life, you are slowly turning this central thing either into a heavenly creature or a hellish creature. either into a creature that is in harmony with God and with other creatures and with itself, or else into one that is in a state of war and hatred with God and with its fellow creatures and with itself. Each of us at each moment is progressing to the one state or the other. And choice, kind of going along with that, choice determines our character. There's a famous story, I think I may have shared it before. Years ago, the Douglas Aircraft Company was competing with Boeing to sell Eastern Airlines its first big order of jets. And the first World War hero, Eddie Rickenbacker, was the head of Eastern Airlines. And he reportedly told Donald Douglas that the specifications and claims made by the Douglas Company for the DC-8 were very close to the Boeing's on everything except noise suppression. Apparently, they were more noisy. So Rickenbacker then gave Douglas one last chance to outpromise Boeing on that feature. And after talking with his engineers, Douglas said that he didn't feel he could make that promise. And Rickenbacker replied, "I know you can't. I just wanted to see if you were still honest." Choices. It's something that all of us have in common every single day, every single moment. We make choices: what to eat, what to wear, what to say, what to do, how to act. Probably made 1,000 choices before the day was out, each and every day. It's a choice whether we're going to argue with our family, how we're going to spend our time, how we are going to try to live out our faith. And the choices that we make are the ones today. The choices that we make are the ones that we have to live with tomorrow. William James is quoted as saying, "When you have to make a choice and don't make it, that in itself is a choice." It's also been pointed out that maturity is recognizing that the choices that we make carry consequences. I love this story. There was a story in the newspaper sometime back about a teacher who found a great way to make students pay for their crimes, so to speak. Troublemakers at the Riverside Brookfield High in Chicago were being forced to serve after-school sentence in the Frank Sinatra Detention Club. And there for 30 minutes, they had to sit still, not talking, no homework, no snoozing, and just simply listen to Mr. Sinatra croon songs. The kids hate it. They're miserable, reports the teacher, who was a Sinatra fan, by the way, who devised the club as a way to make detention more fun for him and less fun for the kids. It just got to the point where I couldn't stand it, said one senior. It was so boring. Well, the teacher isn't heartless, however. He lets the students sing along if they want to, but of course nobody does. So choices carry with them consequences. Again, every single day we make choices that show whether we are courageous or cowardly. We choose between the right thing and the convenient thing, sticking to a conviction or caving in for the sake of comfort or greed or approval. We choose either to take a carefully thought out risk or to crawl into a shrinking shell of safety, security, and inactivity. We choose either to believe in God and trust Him, even when we do not understand His ways, or to second guess God and cower in the corners of doubt and fear. Martin Lloyd-Jones once said that the ultimate choice of the Christian life is always the choice between pleasing self and pleasing God. Well, we all make choices. Some are bigger than others, obviously. But choices matter. And it's because of a choice that we are all probably still alive today. And some of us who weren't born at this point would have never perhaps been born. What I'm talking about is in 1983, a single person, one man, prevented nuclear war between the USSR and the United States. Stanislav Yevgrafovich Petrov was the duty officer at the command center for the Oko nuclear early warning system when the system reported that a missile had been launched from the United States, followed by up to 5 more. Well, Petrov judged the reports to be a false alarm. and his decision to disobey orders against Soviet military protocol is credited with having prevented an erroneous retaliatory nuclear strike on the United States and its NATO allies that could have resulted in large-scale nuclear war, probably the end of the planet as we know it. Investigation later confirmed that the Soviet satellite warning system had indeed malfunctioned. So choices matter. Now, most of us are going to never have to make that serious of a kind of choice, but how we live our lives, and more importantly to what we're talking about, especially with the book of Revelation and the Bible in general, is how we live out our faith. Is it something that we strive to live out and to grow in as time goes on, to make choices based on our faith and what we are called to do and our sense of right and wrong in particular? Again, the book of Revelation was written during very difficult times, very oppressive times, a very oppressive, cruel government, the Roman Empire. We live in different times, but some of those same things are still a part of our life today. Some of those same pressures and the pressure to conform in particular, to give in and to do things that perhaps we know aren't right, but maybe we may be forced to endure some consequences for them, for remaining faithful. But the call of the book of Revelation is a call to remain faithful. Choice is ours. Who do we follow? The emperor, in the case of the book of Revelation, the emperor or God? Who do we follow? Even our own political system or God? That's a choice that all of us has to make in many different ways each and every day. And we are called by Scripture in general, and certainly by the book of Revelation, to what? To remain faithful and to endure. Well, I hope you're having a great week. I hope it continues to be good. We're going to close out our sermon series on the book of Revelation this coming Sunday. And then we're going to spend a couple of weeks on the book of Esther, which is a really interesting one. And then there's going to be another week. And then we're going to be back in September. We're going to be back to the narrative lectionary. And I'm assuming that for the most part, my weekly devotions will be based on kind of follow up to the previous week's sermon. So you have that to look forward to, and I have that to look forward to sharing with you. So for now, take care. Have a great week. We'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.